Hey guys, let's do a quick shave tonight. Bringing in a bunch of knowns that I've used before, except for the brush here. This is the Semogue Black Horse C3. And, you know, I've had my eye on these for a few years. And to me, their pictures on the website, this always just looked like kind of a yellow matte handle, but it's actually wood. And so I don't know if all of them that are that way, but I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it's not just kind of plastic or resin or something like that. It's just a kind of a light colored wood. Maybe if I had to guess, maybe I'd say oak or something like that, looking at the grain structure, but I'm not great at that anyway. I've had this soaking for a while though. It is not a big horse knot, but this is the second of 3 horse knots I've recently purchased, and I brought to you already the other one. The first one is this 50/50 from Zenith, and it was quite scrubby, more so than I like, and so I don't expect it to be used very much in my den. However, I did notice, even after just one shave and a couple of really long soaks, that the tips were splitting just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. So we'll see. Smoking Bishop is the soap for today because we're in the Lather Games. And I'm going to use this 85 gap Wolfman brushed stainless steel WR2 razor. I'm going to put in it a Gillette 7 o'clock black super platinum, and it's got a good many uses on it. Looks like maybe about 13 or so at the very least. Smoking Bishop is one I've used a few times before. I really like it. The theme for today in the Lather Games is winter, or the Christmas season, or one that prominently features pine, fir, you know, some kind of conifer, like that would be appropriate for the holidays. I have muir wood that I'm dying to use from Barrister and Mann, but it wasn't one of the kinds that were going to be allowed. I'll have to wait for that for another day. Need to be fast today, so the slurry lather method I've been using a lot lately, just to kind of study it, I've come up with, is going to be perfect for that. So let me get my face a little wet. I've got some stuff to move around in the house here because I'm working on moving. All that kind of stuff. You know how you have to store things in the meantime. I will show you quickly though. So this is the 50/50 I used yesterday. I think maybe it's a 26 millimeter knot. I'm not really sure. And here is the Semogue Black Horse C3. It's definitely a smaller knot. That can affect it. Now, of course, this one's dry, so it's going to have a bigger splay than this one, which is soaking wet. But we'll compare them maybe after the shave. But it's a smaller knot. It doesn't hold as much water. Sometimes that will affect a brush's performance in the slurry lather method. Now, I have used smaller bore brushes with no problem. And I think that's kind of what this is going to be like, this horse brush. But I used a small bore that was really sparse because it was super old. That one did poorly because it was kind of abnormally sparse. I don't think that's what this brush is going to do, but let's see. What I'm going to do is take the soaking brush here and let the gravity take away as much as it will, pretty much. And then I'm not even going to shake it or anything because it's a small knot. I'm going to work it here until I get not a thin slurry, but a slightly thicker than that slurry, and I'll count my swirls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've got something that's kind of thick-ish. I'm going to let it drip into my lather bowl because I might call to that during the shave. And that can also be where my brush rests when I'm rinsing. I love the smell of this. Smoking Bishop is not a tobacco scent. It's the name of a British or a drink that is used in the UK, like during the Charles Dickens time frame, and you can read more about that by doing some Googling. It's like a mulled type beverage, and in that Christmas season. So that's why we'll put that in place. This brush has been soaking for like a day because I was hoping to soften up those horse fibers, the tips. If I could get them to kind of soften up and split a little bit, then that would be great. I did not really enjoy the lather that the 50/50 gave me. From the looks of these tips with this brush, I'm thinking it's going to be maybe even worse than the 50/50. So we'll just have to see. Right now, it's not too bad as I'm not splaying too much. The first pass of the slurry lather method, I think, most of the time shouldn't be very much splay because you don't want to dump out the water. Indeed, you can kind of see I have lost a bunch of water here. I'll probably have to go back and add some of that. Oh man, this scent is so good. And I forgot, jumped ahead of the game here, and I forgot to put the 7 o'clock Super Platinum into the razor. So I'll be careful here with wet hands. This is that H3 handle from Wolfman. I really like. I think it's practical as well as nice looking. That feels good. That's cutting well. I do hope to someday, yeah, I think I told you it was an 85 gap. I hope someday to get the 75 gap. I was able to try it. Got it on loan from a friend. Thankfully, realized I would definitely enjoy it if I had that. One of these days I'm going to try to remember to put out a little notice on the Shave Bazaar to offer up a trade. You know, I'll trade my 85 base plate for your 75 base plate. This is still comfortable, but I do feel the edge. But it's very controlled. I love the grip here that the Wolfman razors offer. A little water splash now. Oh yeah. Here's that really good slickness. Today, the challenge for the Lather Games is to shave with a hat on, but it's not really a challenge for me since I usually do. I've got a nice little bald spot going, and I figure every time I bend down to get some water, you guys don't really need to see that all the time, right? So I'll just wear a hat. Kind of grab some of this moisture that's in the bowl. Okay, I mean, this is going to work. Well, you know what? Let's just let it work. Oh yeah, see, especially when I get kind of that excess on the, we're definitely not dealing with a lot of lather here. However, like I've been saying, especially with this method, you don't need a lot of lather. You need that kind of micro layer that's right on top of your skin, and that's all that needs to be slick. Everything else is actually kind of throwaway lather. It's just not, because it's not gonna, if it's not between your skin and the blade, then it's not really going to help you with anything. Matter of fact, it can get in your way. If your lather's too thick, it can make your razor not get as close to your skin as it could. Yeah, and this is a good all-around gap in my opinion. It is kind of near the, and this is the 85. I think the 95 was the lowest one for a while. And then I think you could only get the 85 if you did some kind of custom order. and I managed to get the 85 on the used market. I was glad, and I traded my 95s, or I sold my 95s so that I could do that. And I'm not sorry at all. Very good, very comfortable. Yesterday I had some, when I shaved with that 50/50 brush, I definitely had some tenderness at the end of the shave. I did attribute it to the brush. This one, I think, has a little bit, it's a smaller knot, so there are fewer tips kind of working on my skin. It's also, I think, got maybe a little easier splay. And so when the tips do press into my skin and are kind of scrubby and it's not being too prickly, the tips seem to be a little bit more thick. So they don't actually provide a prickle experience like needles, just a kind of a scrub experience. I don't really enjoy it because it's just not me, but that's, at least that's what I'm getting, and I'm trying to describe it to you. So you know what, with this guy, with him softening over time, I'm going to go for a few more swirls in the soap and then duck him in the water too, just to kind of get a little more slurry for this pass. And so these, like I've been saying, the horse knots are going to be something you could be interested in if you're kind of environmentally conscious or animal rights activist kind of conscious. And the horses are not killed when they harvest the hairs for the brushes, unlike badgers and boars and stuff. I think boars are killed. I know badgers are. But in China, they do use the rest of the badger for food and medicine, things like that. So I don't really mind being another person who uses a part of the badger. And with the slurry, it was just easy to whip up what you just saw right there. This blade's cutting well, very comfortably. Really should have used my big Nasset today. Lately I only like to use it when I've only got a day of growth on, because it definitely gripes if I've got more. And I just forgot that today. We'll just have to shave tomorrow, I guess. My friend Okie Dokie Cool watches the channel, and we were commenting. He commented about the Nasset and the 365 blade, and he's an Indian shaver, and so he has access to kind of different blades and stuff than some of the ones that are available in America, and so it's neat to hear his perspective. All right. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, what a great smell. Skin feels nice. So this horse did not really bother my skin too much. Let me get a good rinse now. So now that I've used 3 total different kinds of horse brushes in my shaving journey, what I have to report so far is this. I haven't used this specific brush, but this is the Extra Soft Zenith. And I have used that particular knot in another brush. I think B29 or something like that was what it was called, what the handle was. But the Extra Soft, I'm a huge fan of. It's plush, it's soft. It did have a little prickle for me for just the first dozen uses or something like that. The prickle went away. It's super soft. It has probably a higher mane to tail ratio. Maybe even no tail fibers at all, because that's what gives it backbone, and that's those thick tips that are kind of coming to the top. But you know, you rake your finger across this even when dry, and it's very soft. And so that's the one that I would choose. It's the softest, the more plush. It's not going to give you a whole lot of exfoliation, but don't worry. I mean, your blade is going to do that during the shave. But if you want plush, then I would, and you want horse, then I would go, so far, the 3 that I've tried, I'd go with the Zenith Extra Soft. And you can choose different handles with that same knot. And then here are the other 2 that I've tried. This is another Zenith. This is the Zenith 50/50. And it feels definitely more like a broom compared to that guy. He's got clipped hairs, and I did not like the feel on my face. It was just very scrubby. If I had to use this brush, I was traveling and that's the only one I had. I don't really know if I'd use it. I might just put my lather on with my hands or something like that. Or I would try to work on softening the tips by maybe soaking it every day, long soaks, and working it with the towel just to try to accelerate the tip softness to see how quickly I could get it to a comfortable place. But if you like scrub, if you like kind of an exfoliating action on your face, if you like a lot of scrub, not a whole lot of prickle, like I said before, not like needles, but just more like tough fibers, almost like a soft bathroom scrub brush kind of feel to it. But it had nice splay, and it has pretty easy flex, and it's not as plush as the extra soft. In addition, with the extra soft, the tips are softer than this, but also the extra soft has a flex and a splay that's also easier and more relaxed. But this still, when it's wet, it still gets kind of soft, and so I actually enjoyed the splay of this one, though the tip feel was a little too rough for me. So I enjoyed the backbone because it was not, the backbone wasn't commensurate with the firmness of the tips and the scratchy scrubbiness of the tips. And then the other option is this Pharos C3 black horse brush from Zenith. It's a smaller knot than the other two, but I find it to be not as comfy as the extra soft, but more comfortable than the 50/50. So perhaps it has less tail hairs in the ratio. I need to do some research and see. Or perhaps it's got some built-in splay to the way the hairs are put into the knot, and it's also a smaller knot. Both of those things could be part of what is helping to make it just a little more comfortable. I find the handle's kind of a classic shape, works very well, and it does feel a little small on my face, but some people like small brushes. So I would definitely keep the largeness of an extra soft option is a plus for me, as well as, of course, the more soft tips and the easy splay. So kind of in all respects, the extra soft from Zenith wins over this guy here. But right now, the way it stands, if I had to take either the 50/50 with its nice big splay or the smaller splay but more comfortable Pharos C3 from Semogue, then I would choose the Semogue between these two. This one's just more scrubby than I like. This guy, not quite as much. So there we go. It's wonderful. I love trying those horses. This one, the extra soft here, this is not my original that I've used, but one that I bought, and I got a great price for it because in the center, I don't know if you can tell, but it has a kind of a pit because the guy who owned it before me kind of tangled it up and ended up removing some hairs and stuff. I'm going to try to maybe put some oil on it or something like that to work on removing the tangles here, if I can. That'll be a learning experience as well. So the black Super Platinum blade from Gillette, 7 o'clock, worked very well in the Wolfman WR2 85 gap stainless steel razor. The soap was the Smoking Bishop, and it is a delight. It's very warm. It feels kind of warm and not really a summer scent because of that. But it's spicy and rich. Not spicy, but just kind of flavorful, savory almost, because it is designed to kind of be patterned after a food item, right? Oh, it just smells great. I could definitely shave with this for the colder half of the year and be very happy. I do enjoy this one a lot. So I'm glad to shave with it again. This one, I believe, is the Omnibus base. Oh, look, it has some of the element notes. In the description of the video, I'll tell you more about the scent descriptions. I'm not going to describe that too much now, but wine, orange, grapefruit, nutmeg, cinnamon, tobacco. So there is a little bit of tobacco in there, but it's not dominant. If you didn't like tobacco, I would still recommend this because it's not a smoky or strong tobacco scent. I definitely pick out all the other things ahead of the tobacco, for me at least. So there we go. Good shave today. Thanks so much for watching. Slurry lather method worked for this small horse as well. I did have to go back to the soap for 6 swirls, and I did have to add a little bit of water to it for that third pass. And so it still works for speed because of the slurry lather method doesn't require me then to rework that into a mature lather. I can just put it right on. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.